Hello everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video, which we have not done one of these in a while, but then again, I have not looked forward to an eyeshadow palette like this in quite some time. So today we're gonna rank my Natasha Denona Midi palettes, those $65 palettes in preparation for her My Dream palette that is soon to be released. No release date yet, but we are all eagerly waiting for that, myself included. So I've got 7 Natasha Denona Midi palettes and I am excited to talk these over with you, tell you how I rank them and why. And yeah, I am looking forward to this next release. So if you're interested in seeing how I rank my Midi palettes, heck, maybe even one of them is of interest to you, then just keep on watching. Okay, so as I mentioned, I've got 7 palettes. I'm just going to dive right into it. I'm going to move quickly, and we've got a whole variety of palettes, and I do believe I have all of her Midi palettes. It's a great way to purchase the brand, try out the brand without breaking the bank, because as you know, her large palettes are $129, and that's crazy. That's not to say the quality isn't there. Yes, it is, but not all of us want to pay over $100 for an eyeshadow palette. So that being said, I'm going to take us into number 7. There is a reason this is the last on my list, and it is the Pastel Palette. I honestly wish I would have returned this one. That is just straight up no, no fluff or anything. I'm just diving right into it. This is, now granted, pastels, I have just come to realize, as much as I love pastel colors, eyeshadows just don't fit the bill unless you have the only pastel palette out of all brands that I have felt has done it justice, has done pastels justice, is Give Me Glow Cosmetics, their Pastel Dreams palette. You cannot beat that pigmentation. It is incredible. Other than that, it's just a no-go for me. And this one is included in that. So it is a very beautiful packaging, as all of them, in case you aren't aware. There's little pinholes in the back. You can just pop these suckers out and you can kind of mix and match to what suits you and what is a best, organization of the colors for you. But here's what this looks like. Now, granted, there's a couple of shades I really do like, and they're repeat shades, quite frankly. One of them being Mint Frost, and the other one, I think it was from the Tropic palette. And then the other one being Dainty. I can't remember if this one was a repeat or not. This one was. It's one of my favorites from the palette. But here's the thing. Again, pastels just, you gotta like build and build and build. And it's just not there for me. I also don't love how pastel shades look in my crease. It's a look I have discovered that I just don't like. Something about it, and I cannot tell you what it is, can't put my finger on it. The quality isn't bad. It's a normal pastel palette in that it takes a ton of building. It's still gonna look very watered down, watercolor type, if you will. You do need a very stark base if you want any kind of pop. But again, there's a couple that I really do like, this being one of them, but it's a repeat. So again, if you already have the Tropic palette, then it's not like you're missing out. These two are my favorites. And I didn't return this palette at the time because I was like, no, I can get use out of this. And then I was like, But these two are beautiful. Now, the cream, you know how she's got those cream to powder formulas? Those are one of my favorite formulas from the brand. Listen, I have used this palette all of 3 times. And this one looks so beat up. I don't even know if you're gonna, do you see how chunked out it looks? It looks like I have taken an axe to this shade, and it's just, again, trying to get a brush in there to get some extra pigmentation, and it's just not worth it for me. So definitely number 7, I could have passed on that one. Next is number 6. I feel like this is kind of surprising even to me, and it is the Sunrise palette. I think it's surprising because the Sunset palette was it, and I still have that in my collection, is one of my favorites of all time out of any brand. Then you think, okay, this is kind of the sister to that one. No, really it's not. There's something about just even looking at this color story that doesn't have me grabbing this palette hardly at all. It's still beautiful. Again, I will say out of all of these palettes, the quality is Natasha Denona. It's great. But for me, it's all about a color story. And this one just doesn't do it for me. I don't know if it's just like this magenta pink or whatever it's called. And then the yellow that I feel like it pulls. I don't know. Sometimes it's all personal preference. You can't just put a finger on it as to why. but I just don't find myself reaching for this palette. Metallics are my thing. I love a good metallic shade. Obviously, those were my two favorite in the last one. So that's what I typically look for in a palette. I'm like, okay, am I going to use a ton of these metallics? And I'll say that there's a couple that I would really go for, this one being one of them, Day Spring. But like when it comes to these satiny type of shades, it's just a for me. And so again, it's got a couple of those. Look, these two are satiny type of shades, and I'm just like, I could pass. For me, the Sunset palette was where it was at, and this color story just really doesn't speak to me, but that one's number 6. Moving into the Zendo palette as number 5. We're starting to get into the ones that I actually really like, but for different reasons, they kind of ended up lower on the list. Now, I do like this palette. Again, it's kind of like the Sunrise palette where I immediately look and I say, there's other color stories I like better. So that's truly why this landed at number 5 also. But this one does have more of a mix of shades that I actually would use. It's got a little duochrome right here, which for me is not the most metallic, and you know, I feel like with the duochromes, I want them to really pop. I want them to sparkle. And this one just doesn't. It takes quite a bit of building, but yet it's still a beautiful shade. I'm going to tell you that one of the main reasons I just don't reach for this palette is because immediately my mind goes to these two blues, and I don't tend to use a lot of blues. I don't know why. I once I put them on, they look nice. But for some reason, and I don't like them in the crease, I've told you that. So anyways, but take those out, and it's actually a very lovely palette. But honestly, for me, it's the color story as a whole. I open it and I'm like, no, not today. And then I move to the next one. So again, quality is beautiful, but in these types of shades, like this one right here called Scents, these are the type of shades that, like, if I have a little bit of a tan going on, it helps me look like I got more of a tan. I'm looking real glowy and bronzy. So I love those types of shades. I love these types of shades as well. This is what I'm referring to about those satiny type of shades that don't have that metallic pop that I really like. And I don't know, like that's just my preference. I like a good, super metallic shade. Anyways. And this doesn't have a lot of that. So color story, and then, you know, the finish that I like, again, just doesn't lend itself for me pulling this palette very often. And I'm glad all of these are in my collection, minus the Pastel Palette. But, you know, there's just some that you like to have, and you have, and I guess in your mind you're like, if I ever wanted to use it, I could. But quite frankly, I just don't reach for them. So there's that. Okay, now we're really going to get into the ones that I love. It's just that different reasons have them ranked differently. Okay, the very first one, the one that started it all, number 4, is the Love palette. This is the first Midi palette that she came out with, and I was so happy when she started releasing these $65 ones. Granted, I am one of the people who was plunking down those $129 for a larger palette, but truth be told, I use those so infrequently that it makes it a true... Is it a waste of money if it's adding joy and to your collection and it brings you joy and you like using it? No, but I'd rather pay $65, quite frankly. So anyways, the Love palette, and I love pinks. Pink is my favorite color. I love pink on the lips. I love pink on the eyes. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you about my infatuation with pink. It's so girly. So everything from the cover to the inside obviously was right up my alley. Now, I will say, as much as I love this palette, I had wished it had more pink. So it's got a lot of like the deeper burgundies. It's got a lot of purple, but as far as like true pink, there's 2 or 3 variations of that. And I had hoped it was more. And so when I remember first opening this palette and saying, oh, anyways, I still do love this palette. It's a wonderful Valentine's Day or Valentine's season palette. It adds good variety. And the good thing about this palette is you can take a romantic, very daytime look to evening, date night, sultry, Valentine's date night type of look real fast. And I love that about this palette. The purples, for me, purples do stand out on my eyes. They make my eye color pop. So if you've been with me for a minute, you know I love my purple eyeshadows. And this delivers that. But again, Wishing it had more of the metallic shades that I really love from her brand. Wishing it had had a little bit more pink, but you know, not entirely mad about it. Oh, she has a wonderful type of formula for her mattes, and yeah, so pretty. But this shade right here, the one I just swatched for you, Giving, is kind of like a duochrome as well. But I've noticed with a lot of her duochromes, they're a thinner formula that take a lot more building, and they're not going to give you that super thick, for lack of a better word, opacity that you're looking for, that rich metal look. It's not going to give that to you. 2-3 layers, you got to do 2-3 layers if you want to punch a pop. And even then, it's not going to just fully jump off the lid. So there is that too. And I remember having that disappointment when I first used this palette as well. So that one is number 4. Number 3, this one's a goodie. This one's so good. This is the Retro palette. You guys know, again, if you have been with my channel for a minute, you know that neutrals have never really been my thing. I love a good pop of color. I love bright shades. I love things that just explode on the eyes. But lately, I would say within the past couple of years, more or less, I have developed this love for neutrals, but special neutrals. And I don't know how to tell you what I mean by that, except for these next palettes are going to, I think, kind of explain that. This to me is a very special neutral kind of palette. So it's the Retro palette. Again, I love the color of the packaging. The cover is just so pretty. It's like this baby pearly pink. It's lovely. So here is what this looks like. Now, again, I love burgundy purpley shades. In the Love palette, it's not that I don't love them, it's just that I had wished it was more pink. I love this palette because that really is the theme, is like these more muted pinks, but into these wine and purple colors. And these are the types of shades, these wine burgundy shades make my eye color pop. Like, I cannot even explain it to you. I will tell you, even if I don't put anything on the eyes, but I use a very vampy burgundy lippy, again, my eye color just leaps right out, and I love that. So that really is one of the reasons I love this palette. Again, color story, it's everything. If you just jive with a color story, you're gonna pull the palette more often, and this is it for me. I love the very baby pinks, and baby pinks with a burgundy just absolutely pair together so beautifully, and this has that. You even have like a little bit of a cooler toned kind of taupe that just also adds a unique factor to this palette outside of the pink that just, it's lovely. And these are the types of shades that I love so much, these shiny shades. Now let's give you this baby pink. Oh, so pretty. Do you see how this one shines? That is my favorite type of formula by the brand. It's just a pop, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Again, with her cream to powder formulas, again, a ton of people hate them. I love them. I will tell you though, they do look a little like I carved out some from the pans, and that's really just the blending brush going into the pan of product, picking up product. It's gonna do that. Look a little more chunky in the Pastel palette, but it looks like that here too. But absolutely love this color story. It's beautiful not only for Valentine's, but all year round. This will take me into fall because of those wine burgundy shades, but give me that hint of femininity with the baby pinks. I love this palette so much. Okay, let's go into number 2. And that is the Bronze palette. I love this palette. Now, a lot of people have said that the Bronze palette kind of makes it look like the same look every single time. I can't contradict that. I really can't go against that because in many ways, yes, that is true. But there's something about this palette, and a lot of it is what I mentioned to you about that other shade, that bronzy shade, that if I've got a tan going on, the bronzy tones will just enhance that and give me a very healthy bronzed look. I also love that she matches the theme of the palette, of the shades inside, to the cover of the palette or the packaging. This is a very like summer gold palette. And I used to not be a ton into golds, especially for the eyes. Still am not. Like a bright gold, I'm just not into that. But these more bronzy copper shades, ooh, I can get behind those real quick. And notice that there are a ton of metallics in here. That plays into another aspect of why I would rank this one so high for my preference, is because I love these so much. They have a shine. They just reflect so beautifully. They are very, very pigmented. They pack such a punch. Like when the light hits them, it's just pow. And I have so many options for that in this palette. Again, does it look similar every time? Yeah, this kind of palette is gonna do that. But it just, again, and if you want like a daytime, just in the sun type of look, this will cover you. If you want like a nighttime, you want to smoke it out. Let's say you take this on vacation and you've got a date night, you don't want to redo all your makeup, add a little bit of that smoky shade out there and, you know, make it sultry, then bam, you are done. Such a good palette, such a wonderful all-in-one. It's the perfect summer palette, summer vacation palette, and I love this. I love this one so, so much. So definitely number 2, and last but not least is what's on my eyes today. And again, if you have been with me for a long time, you will remember my review of this palette and you will remember how much I said I was disappointed. Remember when I would do those dazzled or disappointed videos, those reviews? This was a disappointed for me. And you guys, this just goes to show how our tastes change over the years, because this palette is my absolute favorite. Out of all of her Midis, the Glam Palette for me is where it's at. The reason it had disappointed me was because it is very cool. There's a lot of cool tone in here. And I just have come to absolutely love that. Glam is the, like, it is the perfect description for this palette. And I love that I can make a very simple look, but again, as is the theme with a few of the others, I can also take it glam and sultry real fast. So if I need a date night, I'm good. If I need it for work, just a one shade look, I'm good. And I just, something about even the cool tones that just jive with me now. I do think they are very flattering on me. And I didn't used to think that. I used to think they kind of looked ashy, that it looked kind of dirty and muddy on me. Not anymore. Times do change. And I love this palette so much. Again, also going into the finishes, this has a lot of the finishes that I really do enjoy. They are so easy to work with. I hardly dipped my finger in there, and that is the quality that I got. Now, granted, you're going to get a couple of those satiny shades that I'm not, you know, that I could take or leave. But still so beautiful. This is the palette for me. I love it. It's number 1. Who would have thought? You guys, you who know me so well, did you ever think this would have been my number 1? Anyways, now you see the theme of my top favorites. Now you know why I'm so excited about the My Dream palette. It has got that neutral, unique neutral aspect for me. Something that's a little more interesting, something that's going to be more enticing, something that I'm going to look forward to using on my eyes. Ooh, I'm so excited, and the cover is absolutely beautiful. But this for me is number 1. We'll see where the next one takes us. We'll see where it falls. But yeah, if you've been on the fence about this one, then, and you were like me, you may very much like that right now. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of today's video. Just a couple of quick housekeeping items. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. It takes a second, just click that button, but it really helps my channel out, especially that I've been slower to post here lately. And if you are new, I hope you'll consider subscribing. I would love to see you again here on this channel and talk to you about more makeup. Before I let you go, a very quick verse of the day, the most important part of the video, quite frankly, and it's 2 Peter 3:9, and it says, "The Lord is not slow in keeping his promise, as some understand slowness. He is patient with you, not wanting anyone to perish, but everyone to come to repentance." So it is my prayer, if you are watching this, maybe you're new to my channel and you've never heard this verse of the day segment before. It is my prayer that as you hear that verse, as I'm talking to you right now, that God would speak to your heart. And that if you've never made the decision to make him king of your heart, Lord of your life, your very best friend, your savior, that you would make that decision now. Life is so short, but eternity is, that's it. You've locked it in, and that is forever. You don't know when you're going to leave your house and not come back. That is just the reality of the day we live. And it is my prayer that you just seal in your eternity, that you would make Christ the very king of your heart, that he would just be your side-by-side partner for this life. It's just absolutely incredible to have him by your side. And I love you guys so much, and that's why I stress it. Do with it what you will. If you want to just click off and never come back, I understand that too. But it is my joy and my responsibility to tell you. And I love you guys so much, but Jesus loves you so much more. I will see you in the next video, friends. Thanks for stopping by and spending time with me. Bye.